Entitlement reaches all walks of life, as you'll find out in this episode of Entitled People. Our first one is from Theta Sigma 45. This happened when I was out of town about a week ago. I was sitting in a cafe getting some writing done. I had tried to get a seat in there a few times throughout the week, and this was the first time I had actually managed, as it was pretty much always full. Today was no different, but I got by with headphones and the knowledge that no one was going to take me off of my precious seat. Suddenly, a 50-something-year-old woman walked in with her husband. She looked around with an extremely disappointed look on her face, before muttering some angry rant to her husband nodding along with all of it. She suddenly stepped to the middle of the cafe, her husband in tow, and cleared her throat. I stupidly took off my headphones to see what was going on. Suddenly, she launches into this tangent about how she wanted to sit down, and how we were somehow selfish for taking seats for ourselves and staying there instead of leaving after a set time frame to let other people take seats. Next, she said, "Come on then, someone's gotta get up so that me and my husband can sit in here." Of course, no one felt too obliged to do so after being ranted at self-righteously, so she fumed some more. And then she and her husband began walking from table to table, giving everyone angry stares and occasionally making passive-aggressive comments. When she came to me, I just focused on my computer. She told me that I was impolite for not even looking at her. I didn't even reply, I just wanted her to leave. Eventually, one of the workers came up to her and said that she would have to go if she wasn't going to order anything and was disturbing the other customers. After a long row between the two of them, in which the woman made some lovely comments about the worker's choice of career, the woman left in a huff, her husband furiously following behind her. She flipped us all the bird as she left. One of the customers near me said it best, "Thank fuck that's over." Edit, I'm getting the impression that there just may be different rules of etiquette regarding cafes in different places. Just to clarify things, where I'm from, people are generally expected to spend longer than half an hour or so in a cafe. Most cafes build a lot of their brand on being places where people can chill out or work. This was a cafe with books and board games littered around the place, which was clearly a place where people were expected to stay a while. The cozy and inviting atmosphere was a big reason why I wanted to be there to begin with. I don't think they objected to me writing there for an hour and a half. I also hope that it's not acceptable anywhere to rant at strangers because you can't get a seat. Where I'm from, if you sit in the middle of a cafe and rant at people because you can't get a seat, then proceed to go table to table acting like you're entitled to a seat, you're most likely going to end up on the internet. Somebody's going to whip out a phone, record it, and you're going to get your 15 minutes of fame. I'm glad that you stood your ground though and didn't give in to this entitled Karen. This next one is by the V8 Road Warrior. Hope this fits, because my sister's an entitled bitch. So it's the day of my sister's wedding. I turn up with my then fiance, now wife, and throughout the whole shindigs, everything went fine. Or so I thought. A few days later, my sister messages me saying I ruined her wedding. This includes my wife being argumentative with someone at the town hall where my sister was getting married. My wife is disabled, so she needs a wheelchair, and although can walk, finds it difficult long distance and going upstairs, so was debating out loud as to using the stair lift or not. Then, at the reception, my wife and I spent over 30 minutes in the toilets together. It wasn't 30 minutes, but again, disabled, so it's going to take her longer than an able-bodied person. My wife kicked up a fuss about the food. She didn't. All she did was ask what was in the dessert to make sure it didn't contain anything she could be allergic to. My wife and I stole something from the wedding present table. All we touched was a box because there was a poem on top and we wanted to read it properly. Apparently, it was my sister's partner's sister who told her all this, even though the only people near my wife and I whenever any of these events happened were my mum and a friend of my sister. never came up to us to ask what's going on, especially if we're apparently meant to have stolen something. So because of all of this, my sister told my wife's mom that she was going to come to our wedding 6 months later and pretend to go into labor halfway through. Thankfully, we never told her where we were getting married, and it was entertaining to say the least. I do have another tale about my sister if anyone wants to hear it. I think I agree with you 100%. It sounds like your sister is truly an entitled bitch, and it makes you wonder how she got that way. Clearly it wasn't the upbringing, because I don't get any vibes that you're entitled whatsoever. This next one is from The Peasant King M. For a little background, after a short but difficult battle with cancer, my mom passed away in January. I'm a very private person, so outside of a few coworkers I get along well, I didn't see the need to tell anyone. Yesterday, we had to sign our new insurance policies and had to designate beneficiaries. As I'm not yet married and have no kids, I designated my dad as the only beneficiary. The HR worker who was with me was surprised that I designated my dad as the only beneficiary and asked why I left my mom out. I simply answered, because my mom has already passed away. She muttered an apology and I thought that was it. A few minutes later, I was called by a HR manager because there was a complaint against me. In the meeting, they explained that answering that my mom is dead hurt my coworkers' feelings and that I would be suspended if I do it again. I couldn't help but laugh. I asked why was coworker hurt if it was my mom who died? It doesn't make any sense at all. Manager said that it was because she didn't know. I laughed again and told her that I'm totally in my right to keep my personal life to myself and that my coworker hadn't even been hired in January. Do you expect me to introduce myself to new coworkers telling them that my mom died in January? Before I left, I told them that if they went ahead with my suspension, I would have no choice but to place a complaint with the labor authorities. The complaint against me was dismissed as a misunderstanding. I'm really sorry to hear that your mom passed away. I am glad that the complaint was dismissed, but I have to question what is going on with that coworker, how their feelings could be hurt because of something that happened in your own personal life that you happen to share. They definitely seem like the kind of person that the world needs to revolve around them, and if they step foot out of their little safe space, they're gonna fucking turn to ash. And our final one is by Scrudgemeyer. So, since we don't like shopping, we've been enjoying the online ordering option at Walmart. What's not to like? You pick what you want, pay for it, they pick it and bag it, and you just roll in and pick it up. Today, however, this doesn't go as smoothly as in the previous years of using the service. As I said, I put in the order and selected a pickup time. Wife and I roll in park in space number 4, then I inform them that I'm in a blue vehicle in space number 4 with the app. Other cars are already there. Other cars roll in after we get there, and the wife and I are just chatting along with the news of the day and what the grandchildren have gotten up to lately. Finally, someone knocks on our window and asks, "What's the name of the order?" I say it's this last name. The associate frowns and says, "I'll be right back." Thinking that this wasn't at all unusual, wife and I go back to chatting. About a minute later, manager comes out to us and asks if we're sure of the order name. I pull out my phone and show them the app. However, the app is showing us that the order was picked up already. Turns out that the silver SUV in space number 3 was approached by the Walmart staff, asked if they were my last name picking up their order, and the woman just waved towards the back and said, "Load it up, please." Walmart staff apologized and said that they were going to re-pick the order as a priority and they'd be out as soon as possible. 30 minutes later, a certain silver SUV pulls back into the spot, and woman slips into Karen mode and starts demanding a manager. Manager comes out and they chat for a bit. Being the nosy people we are, we listened in. She's pissed off that they totally screwed up her order. Manager says that they were asked if they were my last name and she waved to load the stuff. They assumed that they were us. An honest mistake on the part of Walmart staff given the information they were given. Karen is now demanding that they give her her correct order. There are, however, two problems with this. First of all, since they didn't make their pickup slot, since they didn't pick up as themselves, the order was returned to stock, and 2, Karen didn't bring the incorrect stuff back. Arguments go back and forth for a bit, and while this is going on, they bring out our hastily repicked groceries and a $50 gift card by way of apology. Thus restocked, we decided to drive away, and we never found out what the final Karen versus management outcome was. The only thing I could think is that Karen didn't end up getting her way, mainly because she took the groceries and then didn't even bring them back when she wanted to complain that she didn't even get her correct order. One would assume that if you didn't get your right order, at least bring the stuff back, even if they can't put it back out on the shelves. I really hope they didn't cave to her, and I really hope they didn't give her a gift card too. Alright, that's enough entitlement for the day. Well, that wraps up this episode of Entitled People. If you liked the video, please drop a like, share my content on all of your social media, subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to hit that bell so you're notified every time I upload, and drop a comment down below. It really helps with the algorithm and helps new people find my channel. Thanks for watching. Thanks to my patrons. Have a great day and stay safe out there.